Morning, ladies and gents. I've got a proper treat for you today. Today we're gonna go to Wales and play with this Ford Mustang. The vehicle was charged up to 100% overnight, and we have set this trip to 0, and we've set trip computer number 1 to 0, and we've also set trip computer number 2 to 0 as well. And I'm proper excited because I'm driving a Mustang today. So the plan for today is to drive up to North Wales to our usual spot and do a range test of this Mustang, and also enjoy the autumn colours in Snowdonia. And as I said, the vehicle's charged up to 100% and it's showing a range of 300 miles, and the outside temperature is 13 degrees. And when someone mentions the Mustang, the first thought that comes into my mind is raw American power. And I want to see if this vehicle is going to live up to that expectation. And the numbers on this vehicle are certainly impressive. It's got a 91 kilowatt hour battery pack, and it's a rear wheel drive vehicle with 290 brake horsepower. And that's 8 more horses than my i4. So I'm expecting this vehicle to be proper savage. And also, because it's got a 91 kilowatt hour battery, the quoted range of this vehicle is 372 miles. That's almost the distance from Leeds to London and back on one charge. So I will see you guys in Wales. This was a quick bathroom break, and I realised that there's a steam train running alongside this car park through Snowdonia. I did want to film it, but it's gone. The vehicle's in its most efficient mode, which is whisper mode, and then there's active mode, in which the vehicle decides which is the best mode for it to be in, and then there's this untamed mode, which is supposed to give you full power. And I have briefly tested this untamed mode, and I'm extremely disappointed and underwhelmed. This thing feels like it's got half the power of our i4, even though it's supposed to have 8 more horses. I am going to continue exploring Snowdonia, and I will see you guys in a bit. Right, this is Black Rock Sands Beach, and because it's dark and you can't see that far, it feels like I'm driving through a desert. This feels so surreal. I'm going to play in this imaginary desert for a little while, and I will see you guys at the charger. Right, we've reached the Swaco unit, and that's the 50 kilowatt charger in front of us. The vehicle next to us is charging up, but that's on the 7 kilowatt. So we're fortunate today that the 50 kilowatt unit's available. And today we have covered 219.2 miles. And let's see what we have remaining now. So we've got 21-mile range remaining and a 9% battery. So this gives the Ford Mustang an autumn total of about 240 miles. And from the way that the BMW i4 performed, I think my guess would be that in the summer this would get you around 300 miles, which is quite a lot down from the 372 miles that the manufacturers have quoted this vehicle as being able to do. So I'm going to plug this vehicle in and top it up so we can head off back towards Leeds. And by the way, this is the same Swaco unit that let us down when we bought the Cupra to Wales. I will link that video in the description. Right, I'm parked bent because the charging port is on that side of the vehicle over there, and the wires on these fast chargers are not long enough. So I've had to park sideways and take up 2 bays just so that the charging lead reaches the vehicle. Right, ladies and gents, let's see if we can get this Swaco charger to work. So we need to click on card payment, and we want to start a charge at this point, and it's initiating and it wants to reserve £5 off my bank card. So let's swipe the card and let's hope that this works. It made a beeping sound, so it's doing something. Okay, let's see now. Our connector, that is CCS, and now it's asking me to connect the vehicle up. And please don't judge my parking. I had to park like this just so that the lead reaches my vehicle. I'm gonna plug this in and I'll bring you back. Right, the car's connected up to the charger, and now let's click on start and let's see what happens. It seems to be taking its time, so let's see if it's gonna start charging or not. My god, this is so slow. Oh, it started charging. And I am so glad that it started charging. The car's fast charging, and unfortunately it's not showing us how many kilowatt it's pulling like our i4 does. But anyway, I'm just glad it's charging, and before we set off, I'll reset this trip computer back to 0 so we can work out how it's going to perform on the way back home. And by the way, I'm sorry about these flashing lights. There seems to be some infrared lights that are flashing just above the steering wheel. You can't see these when you're driving, they're just showing up on the camera. I'm going to let this charge up now and I'll see you in a bit. Right, ladies and gents, we've topped up as much as we needed and now it's time to stop charge. And I got confused with this last time, so what we have to do is we have to click on card payment, tell it that we want to stop charge, and then we have to scan our payment card again just for it to give us the option to stop. And now I'm going to click stop, and it stopped charging and it's charged up to 81% and it cost us 32.25. I'm going to unplug and I'll see you in the car. The vehicle's charged up to 81% and it's showing an available range of 216 miles. And based on how the vehicle performed on the way here, I'm pretty confident it should reach home with 81% charge. I am headed back to Leeds, but I'm going to stop off in Manchester for some food. So the first leg of this journey is 107 miles. And what I need to do now is to set the trip computer number 1 to 0. Okay, that's been reset to 0 now. And I'm not going to reset trip computer number 2. I'm going to let that run so that we can calculate how much mileage we have done overall. So I'm going to set off now and I'll see you in Leeds. Right, ladies and gents, we've reached back home and we have a 44-mile range remaining and a 19% battery. And the temperature on the return leg has been around 11 degrees, which is 2 degrees cooler than what it was on the way there. And on this drive back, we have covered 148.5 miles. And from these numbers, I have worked out that if the vehicle was 100%, it would have done 237.6 miles. And that's not far off the 240 miles we was achieving on the way there. So now let's check trip computer number 2, and the total we've driven today is 367.8 miles. And the quoted range from the manufacturer of this vehicle is 372 miles. So according to their numbers, this should have got there and back on one charge. And we had to stop off and charge up before we got back. And remember, this vehicle will do a little bit better in the summertime. This has been a really long journey, and even though I didn't drive all of it, I'm still totally knackered. So I'm gonna put this car on charge and get to bed, and I will see you guys tomorrow, and we're gonna go for a play in the Yorkshire Dales. Morning, ladies and gents. I left this car on charge since I got home and it's charged up to 89%. And today it's playtime, so we're gonna go to the Yorkshire Dales and just see how much fun we could have with this Mustang. And before we set off, I'm gonna reset trip computer number 1, and I'm not going to bother resetting trip computer number 2 because that's been running since yesterday and I want to see how far we've driven overall. And before I forget, we need to put this vehicle into untamed mode. So this is going to give us the most power, and in theory this vehicle should be most fun in untamed mode. And I'm also curious to find out what kind of a range I'm going to get in this mode. So the vehicle's been charged up to 89% and it's showing a range of 265 miles. So let's see how it performs. I was just loading the wheelchair and I realized how cheap and nasty this parcel shelf is. I mean, you can't even really call it a parcel shelf, it's just a piece of cloth. It's supposed to attach up there and also up there. And it's so flimsy that it just falls down by itself. So what's the point in even having this? Okay, the wheelchair's loaded, so let's set off now. Check this out. I'm on my way to the Yorkshire Dales and in front of us is a Ford Mustang Mach E hearse. That's the last thing that I ever thought I'd see on the road. Seems like EVs are really catching on. People are dying to get into them. So I'm going to let whoever's in the back of that hearse rest in peace, and I will see you guys in the Yorkshire Dales. We've reached the Yorkshire Dales, and this dip in front of us is my favourite part of this road. Just wait for it, and oh my god, that feels like a roller coaster basically. So my initial impressions of this vehicle were that it's underpowered, and I still feel like it's extremely underpowered. But despite that, it is quite fun to drive because it handles really well. And realistically, all EVs seem to handle quite well because the battery packs are really low down, and that low center of gravity works wonders for the handling. Check out the autumn colours. I know this is not Snowdonia, but when you're in Leeds, this is the next best thing. Okay, so let's get back to this car. Is this a proper Mustang? And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say no. This is supposed to have 290 brake horse, and it feels more like 120. And our BMW i4 feels like it's got 3 times the power of this vehicle. I know I keep comparing it to the i4, and that's because this is supposed to have 290 brake horse and our i4's got 282 brake horse. So according to the numbers, they should perform similarly. And this is proper appalling, and I personally feel that Ford is trying to capitalize on the Mustang name in order to drive sales. Because if I was Ford, I would feel ashamed calling this vehicle a Mustang. And they've also done the same with the Ford Capri. I'm sure at least a few of you viewers must remember the old school Ford Capris. And now Ford are just using the Capri name in order to sell a boring, small-sized SUV. I'm going to continue enjoying the views and trying to enjoy this Mustang, and I will see you guys in a bit. It's so peaceful here, and I feel so relaxed. And I must say, this car's not that bad looking, is it? I wouldn't say it looks beautiful, but it's not ugly either. I'm going to enjoy the peace of this spot, and I will see you guys in a bit. Right, it's time to set off now, and that what you can see there is my hand controls. I'm going to set off now, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, ladies and gents, our short time with this Ford Mustang Mach is over now, and I'm just getting ready to hand it back over to Ford. And today we have a 53% battery and 140 mile range remaining, and we have covered a total of 57.9 miles. And according to this vehicle would have achieved 222.3 miles in untamed mode, which isn't too bad considering we was averaging about 240 miles in whisper mode, which was the most efficient mode. And now let's check how much we've done in total. So since yesterday we've covered 425.7 miles. Now that's what I call a thorough range test. So what have we learned since yesterday? So the first thing we've learned is no matter how you drive the Ford Mustang, you're looking at getting between 220 and 240 miles out of it. And secondly, what we've learned is the fact that this vehicle is just Mustang by name. And when you consider that this vehicle was £50,830 and our i4 is worth probably about 1,500 to 2,000 on top of that, and then all of a sudden it becomes extremely hard to justify buying this vehicle over the BMW i4. But then again, maybe some of you guys are not as crazy as me, and maybe you just want to be able to say I drive a Mustang or drive about with the horse logo on the front of your car. But I can't think of many people out there that would choose this excuse of a Mustang over the BMW i4. So the overall conclusion is, if you want to get a Mustang, buy a proper Mustang. And if you want to get an EV that's really fun to drive, get a BMW i4. So realistically, this vehicle just doesn't make sense. But that being said, I'm pretty sure Ford are going to sell shed loads of these just because it's called a Mustang. And that's pretty much it from me. And before I go, I'd like to say, if you've made it this far into this video, you're a true legend. And if you're subscribed to this channel, then you're even more of a legend. Because the way that I see it is, it's you guys that make this channel a channel. Without you guys, I'm just some random person that uploads videos. And I would like to say thank you to every single one of you guys. And remember, life's just too short to sit around and waste. And I can't even walk, and look at the sort of stuff that I get up to. So those of you who are able-bodied, you've got a gift. And please don't waste this gift. Make the most of it. So I am going to give this vehicle back and call it a night. And I will see you guys in the next one.